I'd love to be a fly on the wall in one of the meetings and just kind of like, I don't know if I did something that went wrong. I would love to know if that is the case or if they just decided to go in a different direction. I'm never going to know that, but I am curious.
All right, good to see you here. Thank you so much for checking out this interview with Cassie Lee, AKA Peyton Royce. And as you saw from that little snippet there off the start of this video, she is just an absolute sweetheart and one of the nicest people that you could ever talk to. This is our second interview. Our first one you can check out right up there. And if you listen to my podcast, well, there's a pretty good chance that you've already heard this interview because it was released yesterday. All of my interviews are released on the podcast first. It's called Insight with Chris Van Vliet. So if you're into podcasts, check it out wherever you get your podcasts. Of course, the interviews on YouTube aren't going anywhere. Just letting you know, it's available on the podcast first before it's here on YouTube. All right, let's get to it. A great conversation with Cassie Lee.
I was just listening to the most recent episode of Offer Chops, and Cassie, I relate to you so much about this whole driving in the rain thing.
Do you?
Well, look, I lived in Florida for 5 years. You currently live in Florida. What is it about people in Florida that as soon as it starts raining, you didn't really actually talk about this that much in your podcast, but they push the four-way flashers, like letting everyone know, like, I don't know how to drive in the rain.
I know. I don't know what it is. And like, we've driven all across the country. So I know what drivers in each state are like. And I like, Florida is the worst. Orlando is on another level. It's so bad.
Well, the thing about Florida is it rains every day in the summer.
Yeah. So you would think the locals would be used to it.
You would think so, in the same way that like when you live somewhere where it's cold and it snows, you know, they get accustomed to what it's like to drive in the snow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, not here.
No, not there. This is just one of the many topics that you guys cover on your podcast.
Yeah, bit of a variety comedy podcast, I would say.
A comedy podcast.
Yeah, like to make people laugh.
Well, that's what you guys do, right?
Yeah, that's what I enjoy. And I like sitting there laughing while Jess makes me laugh.
Did you always want to have a podcast?
I had been wanting to try a podcast for a few years, but I just, with our schedule and then with like rules that kind of came in, like we just weren't allowed to do it. So as soon as we got the call, I texted Jess and I was like, look, I know you want like time to grieve this and that's totally cool, but I just want you to know, like, I really want to start this podcast with you. And she was like, screw it, let's do it. And we just got to work.
And Offer Chops was the like immediate first name that you had?
Yeah, so we were talking to a friend who was helping us kind of come up with concepts and things. And just through talking to this person, Jess had said Offer Chops and they just died laughing. And he was like, that is so funny. And we were like, that's just normal for us. Like, it's just a normal conversation. So it's kind of good to get an outsider's perspective and like things that stand out. So we were like, oh, that's kind of fun, actually. Let's just do it.
Yeah, the term Offer Chops is something that like most Americans are like, what is that even? Like, you're talking about lamb chops?
Yeah, no, not quite.
What is that? What is that? What does that even mean? Like, break it down for people that live in North America.
I mean, Offer Chops, it has like multiple meanings. In Australia, it could mean you're off your chops drunk, or it could mean you're off your chops like you're just crazy. Like, but in a positive way, not like you're crazy and you need help. More like the fun one of the group. Like, this girl's crazy.
What does this say around your neck, by the way? I can't quite read this necklace.
I'm baby girl.
Oh, baby girl.
I'm very into like the 90s, 2000s fashion right now. So I just had to have that one.
I feel like everybody is. Like, this was very cyclical. Like, if I had held on to the clothes that I wore in the late 90s, I'd be so cool right now.
I was born in 92, so I didn't appreciate the 90s, but the 2000s, my gosh, I wish I kept my stuff.
Well, here's the thing, Cassie. If you hang on to your stuff from now, you'll be so cool in 2042.
Yes. Well, I mean, that's my plan. I realized, because I do like, if I buy clothes, I take clothes out of my closet. Often, like maybe twice a year, I'll have Jess come over and I have her just go through my closet. And if she hasn't seen me wear something, she puts it in a pile, and then I go and donate the pile. But I think I'm going to start saving my stuff, especially like if I have a daughter or something. I'd love to be able to pass on like fashions that she could wear, and she can be the cool one.
Or she's going to look at your clothes and go, Mom, you used to wear this?
I mean, that's definitely what I did when I was a kid, looking at my mom's old clothes.
Yeah, a lot of our last conversation was you talking about how Jess would come to your house and she was like your closet organizer.
She is still that person for me.
Is it just the closet, or does she clean other things in your house too?
She does the whole thing. But sometimes I'll say, come over and don't like closet only, because otherwise she'll want to go into the bathroom, and then she'll want to go through my drawers, and then we'll start going into the kitchen, and it just takes a long time.
And when I talked to Jess last year, she had just bought her house. She had just moved in. She was having like movie nights there. Like she has a theater inside her house.
Yep.
How has this evolved? Is this still happening? Are we still doing game night at Jess's?
We do games night all the time. We rotate between our house, Jess's house, Breeze's house, Amanda Huber's house. Like or then there's like Chelsea and Matt. There's like, we all just like interchange whose turn it is for game night.
Pretty much like 95% of all wrestlers, no matter where they work, live within like a 10-mile radius of you in Orlando.
Yeah, most of them. But now we're kind of in like an hour and a half radius, which is
they've moved out to Tampa is what you're saying.
Yes, basically.
Well, I feel like you have to stay there if you and Jess are recording this podcast in person.
Yeah. When husband and I bought this house, we had bought it with the intention of staying here for a good 20 years. So we're not going anywhere anytime soon.
Speaking of your husband, Ronnie, Shawn Spears, whatever we want to call him,
Yeah.
I love how he was creeping on you making TikToks in your backyard recently.
He is such a pain in the ass. I've got nothing else to do, okay? I have so much time on my hands right now. Let me do a TikTok. What's funny is like, so from where I was standing outside, I can't see in, but from inside, you can clearly see out. And I just had this weird feeling he was watching me. And so I guess before he started filming, I was just looking inside, hoping that he would see me and assume that I actually could see him. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh, he's not saying anything. I'll just keep doing my TikTok. And then, of course, he puts that up on Twitter.
Oh, he didn't like ask you about this first?
No, he did.
Oh, okay. And you're like, yeah, I guess it's kind of funny.
Well, so whenever it's like his birthday or something and I want to post funny videos of him, I always ask him first, because he's like, I have a persona to like uphold. I don't want to be funny on like your social media. And we always ask each other, but I was like, that's fine, whatever. Let people laugh.
I mean, he's actually a really nice guy, despite what we see on Dynamite.
Yeah, he is.
But how similar would you say that Cassie is to Peyton Royce?
So when Cassie and Jess are together, those two people are exactly the same as Peyton and Billie.
They're the IIconics.
Yes, but Cassie, I'm like really shy, and I don't like to be in crowds of people. I get anxious. So when I'm by myself, I'm very shy. I'm inside my shell. But if I'm with her, there is no shell. I'm completely fine.
So how does someone who's shy get into a business that is the exact opposite of that?
Well, I just grew up on the stage. I was a dancer. I started dancing when I was 3, so I was used to performing. I love performing and being able to create someone else that I can be. And because if I'm being judged by this person, it's not me. It's this character I've created. So I actually do like that. I like having the person people get to know, and then I like being me, and I can differentiate them.
So this is like a little bit of like Beyonce and like Sasha Fierce.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I am.
Do you have a name for this persona? Like when you were growing up, like, or that was just like that you would become on stage?
No, I didn't think about it like that. I think that was something I realized that's what I do. Like as I grew up, I realized that's how I'm able to like because when people say fake it till you make it, I live by that. I fake being like this big personality and friendly and happy and not anxious. Like it's all fake. But I'm just doing that till I feel comfortable.
So if you're very introverted, I feel like Ronnie is like the exact opposite. I feel like he's very extroverted.
I would say no.
No, okay. He's just a great actor then.
He is. He and I are very similar. We're introverts. We don't like leaving our house. We have everything here that we need. Like he's the same. He doesn't like crowds of people. We're able to be like performers and characters on stage, and like separate the two.
You guys are like the perfect match for each other, it sounds like.
Yes, it is true.
Two people from another country who have met in America.
Weird to think about it as well.
Yeah, that's exactly. And now you have a whole family of fur babies. This is great.
Yeah. Yep. It's all happening.
Obviously, a lot has changed since the last time that we spoke. Are you doing okay? Is everything all right with you?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a really rough couple months. I would say it's been a rough 6 months since the draft. I would say since they split Jess and I up, it's been rough. Yeah. But I'm doing well. Every day I'm feeling happier, and so I'm just excited for the future and these like opportunities that I can chase now that I haven't been able to for the past 6 years. And then I have my moments where I'm like, I just get sad that it didn't work out, but I really truly believe that everything happens for a reason, that there's something bigger out there for me.
Well, if your dream as a little girl growing up was to be in the WWE and you did it and you were there, at the highest level, what's the dream now?
I don't feel like I'm done with wrestling. I feel like I have dreams that I especially wanted to like grasp, between being split up from Jess and when we were let go. So I still want to chase that, but my big dream now is I want to be a movie star.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is a natural way that wrestlers kind of want to go. I have been taking acting lessons for going on 2 years now, and I just love it. I love the process. I love learning a new industry, and I can't wait till I feel like I really know the industry inside out like I do wrestling.
Do you feel like taking acting lessons made you better at wrestling, and specifically made you better at promos?
Yeah, definitely. And I just the way I think about it is different. And it's kind of hard too, because just wrestling is its own separate beast. And sometimes it's hard to like take the principles from acting and put them in a wrestling promo, because a lot of that is different. But still, the way I'm able to think about it and create like a backstory and things like that, I really enjoyed that part of it.
Well, I mean, I think that the thing, especially when you're acting for the camera, you're trying to act as like natural and subtle as possible. Yeah. And I think that the word subtlety in wrestling, don't really go together.
Oh, not at all.
I mean, there are subtle details in wrestling that are so crucial and so important, but I mean, in the promo style, it's not really the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Bigger the better with the microphone in wrestling.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Yeah. So you're saying, obviously, I'm not saying that you would think you'd be done with wrestling, but if the goal was to be in the WWE, you accomplished that goal, you accomplished that dream. Yeah. Is the goal now to just do other big things in the world of wrestling?
I feel like being let go really broke my heart, and it kind of for a long time took my love. Like it stole my love of wrestling. And I would love to get that back and not move on with my life with this bitter feeling about wrestling. Like I still get emotional about it. But I know one day I'll be able to, like, those circumstances I'll have control over, and I won't let it affect me like it still does now.
Yeah. It definitely sounded like you even used the term grieving before. Like this is a big thing. This was your entire life. This is the whole reason you live in America.
Yeah. I mean, like I decided I wanted to wrestle for WWE when I was when I was 10 years old. So literally, and like, it's so weird, like in high school and like growing up, knowing that's what I wanted to do with my life. Literally every decision I made in my life was for the purpose that it would get me one step closer to WWE. And those are things like picking my subjects in high school. Like what subjects can I pick that's going to help me learn things that is going to like progress me to WWE. And then in the school holidays, like I wouldn't go to parties. I would like be working out. I'm like a 15-year-old girl, like working out around my house because I thought, the fitter the better. And then I would take like modeling lessons. I would do modeling competitions because like when I was growing up, it was the Divas era, and I thought I had to know how to model. I had to know how to walk in heels and how to wear a dress and how to do my makeup and my hair. And like, so I took lessons to learn how to do that so that I could just check every single box and like leave no stone unturned. Like there was nothing getting in my way.
What's interesting though is so many people, both men and women, have this dream when they're younger to be in the WWE. And then that dream shifts or it changes and they go, well, it's okay if I am still a wrestler. The goal was WWE, but I'm okay to just be a wrestler. And then they're like, well, it's okay if I'm maybe a referee or maybe I, work at this organization instead of this organization.
Yeah.
Your goal was WWE. And I mean, we talked about this a little bit last time, but to live in Australia and have your goal be WWE when there's really no one that's done it before you when you're 10 years old to like follow in their footsteps.
Yeah.
That kind of seems like a pipe dream when you're that young.
Definitely. And I was so vocal about my dreams as a kid, and I kind of got bullied for that because you're right. It sounds crazy and it sounds like it cannot be done. But I don't know what it was. I feel I was just born with this instinct inside me that said, I'm going to get what I want. Like no matter what, nothing. Like I will not let anything stop me from achieving my goal. Yeah. And it was always WWE. I didn't want anything else. Like I would pray at night to achieve my dreams. And I would always like, if something physically scared me, for example, there's this water park in Sydney and there's like this big rock that you can jump off into a pool. Well, I didn't know this at the time, but I'm afraid of heights. So every time I got to the edge of the rock, I could not bring myself to jump off it. And everyone was cheering me on. And like, so I took a step back and I said to myself, if you want to be a WWE wrestler, jump off the rock. And literally just ran and jumped. But anytime I was faced with a fear of something, I would say to myself, if you want to be a WWE wrestler, do this. And I would just do it.
So, I mean, as a Canadian kid growing up in Canada, if I wanted to be a WWE superstar, I could go, oh, well, Edge did it, Christian, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Chris Jericho, whatever. As a little girl growing up in Australia, whose path can you follow?
I loved Eddie Guerrero so much and I just wanted to be like him. So although there wasn't like an Australian whose path I could follow, like I just wanted to be like Eddie. And I didn't need someone's footsteps to follow in. I would create my own.
I love this. At what age were you when Tennille Dashwood started to make a name for herself?
Like on the indie scene?
Yeah, I mean, because she would have been, I guess, the first one to really, do it.
Definitely. So when I started training, she was already like a name in Australia. So that was in 2009. And then while I was doing Lances in Canada, so that was 2012, that's when she started at FCW. And
is that like what made you go, oh, well then, I mean, you already knew. It sounds like you already knew. It sounds like you already knew that you were going to make this happen.
I did. Long before that.
Is this something that has just always been instilled in you? Like, is this who you've always been as a kid? Or is this like something that, your family has really helped out with?
Honestly, I feel like I didn't know anyone growing up who kind of had this like just like constant need and want for more. What's strange as well now that I think about it is before I even knew what wrestling was, and I was living in Sydney, as like a 7 or 8 year old girl, I knew I was going to move to America. I just knew there was nothing in Australia for me. Like everything that I was going to create for my life would be here.
Yeah. So obviously you weren't prepared for these releases in April. Like you didn't expect to be on that list.
I did not even think that there were going to be releases, and maybe it's my kind of fault for not being prepared for it. It was not even a thought in my mind, and I don't know why, because it's April. They always do releases in April, and it skips my mind for some reason. So yeah, it came out of left field for sure.
I mean, even if there were going to be releases, I just don't feel like you and Jess would have been on that list. It doesn't make sense to me from the outside.
Maybe this is just because of the way I'm kind of made to feel. If I had thought there were releases coming up, I would have been worried for myself. I was worried the previous year when they did releases. I thought, this might be it for me. And Ronnie was like, no, you're just being self-conscious or whatever. But I wasn't doing anything. I was pushing so hard to get an opportunity at something, and just nothing was happening for me. So if I thought there would be releases, I probably would have expected it more. But for Jess, no, because she was just killing it. My gosh, she was so easy to watch, and she was so fun, and she was on everything, and she was just on WrestleMania. I wasn't even on WrestleMania. I was one of like 2 girls not on WrestleMania. So I 100% would have thought, yeah, I'm going to be on that list if I thought there was a list.
It almost felt like when you guys were released together that you were still being treated as the IIconics, even though you were very much separate. The IIconics were broken up.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's like a rhyme or reason for who is let go. I don't know. I don't even like to try and understand it, because
and maybe maybe you don't have to make sense of it. It's something that's happened. That was 3 months ago, and you move on, you press forward, and it's bigger and better from here.
Yeah, definitely.
There was talk for a while that the IIconics might break up, should break up, turn this into a great storyline. What was the conversation behind the scenes of you guys breaking up?
So I don't think I've ever actually told anyone this, and I hope Jess isn't upset with me saying this. I wanted to go singles. There was just things that I wanted to tick off my bucket list as a singles competitor. And I vocalized that to Jess in like January last year, but I didn't do anything about it. Like I just told her where I was at. I didn't go and like try and get us broken up or something like that. But then this was in like the PC era, and Jess was out for a week or something. So I had like this random singles match. I don't even remember who it was against. And Vince loved it. And he said to me, like, you're so good. Like, why, like, what are we kind of doing it? And so I just said to him, look, like, if it is possible in the future plans, I'm not saying right now, but in the future, I would like to see what I can do on my own, because I'm so comfortable with Jess. I feel like we can conquer the world together, but I wanted to see what I could do for myself. And then so many people are like, oh, it was so stupid for them to break you up. And why did they break you up? You were so good together. And then I'm just like, I feel like it's my fault because I wanted to push myself and see what I was capable of. But then, yeah, I don't know, that might have been the worst decision that I made, because nothing ever happened.
Well, but I don't feel like that falls on you. Like, because when you guys broke up, I feel like everyone went, oh, this is perfect. Cassie has all the skills to be a champion. She has the great look. She has the in-ring ability. She has the personality. Let's make this thing happen.
I mean, I just don't. Thank you. That was so kind of you. I'd love to be a fly on the wall in one of the meetings and just kind of, like, I don't know if I did something that went wrong. I would love to know if that is the case, or if they just decided to go in a different direction. I'm never going to know that, but I am curious.
Yeah. I mean, the interview you did with Renee on Oral Sessions, you said that you had this meeting with Vince and it didn't go how you wanted to go. Is that where you think that things kind of went off the rails?
Which interview was that? Is that when?
Or maybe it wasn't with Renee. Maybe you talked about this on Off Her Chops. And you basically said, like, you met him with Vince and you talked about how, like, he's like, well, what do you like to do in your free time?
Yeah, look, I don't know. freaking dirt sheets picked that up. Peyton lost a job because she didn't know what to say to Vince. Rah, rah, rah. I'm like, that's not the case, you big dummies. I just went in there with what I wanted to present, and we just moved on from it so quickly. And I was in my head, I was like, hey, how can I steer this conversation back to that? Because I really thought something was there, and I hadn't explained it properly. But I don't believe that is the reason I got fired, because I sat in that room with him and Bruce for 45 minutes tossing up ideas. And what we had come up with was that I was going to be a motivational speaker, because Vince loved how much I had sacrificed to be there, and how I didn't want anything else for my life other than to work for him. And he loved that. And he was so thankful for what I had sacrificed, my family, everything in Australia, my whole life. So that's what we had come up with. And obviously nothing ever came of it. But that conversation wasn't like a complete dud. That's just was from my perspective, that, damn, this is what I wanted to present and move forward with.
I'm so glad you cleared that up, because that was not the story that was reported.
No, and that's probably my fault. And I never know like what is too much to say or not. So I probably just stopped at the wrong point.
Also, it's sad that you frame it in that way of how much you gave up and everything you left behind in Australia just to work for this man, just to work for WWE. And he's aware of that and still goes, all right, well, better luck in your future endeavors.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's a business decision. It wasn't personal. Sure. I totally get that. It doesn't take the sting away, but it is what it is. And I'm aware of that. And that kind of helps a bit, knowing that there's nothing I did wrong. There's nothing I don't think that I could have done, because I freaking tried everything.
Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, Ronnie asked for his release, was released. So his probably felt very different, right? Because he was in the driver's seat when he was released. Yeah,
definitely. And I like this whole year, like the beginning of the year. So I really struggled from when Brody passed. I really struggled with like kind of seeing the bigger picture and putting things into perspective, and just how I was really unhappy at work, really unhappy. And a few times I was like, I don't think I can do it anymore. Like, I think I want to ask for my release. And there was times I'd be in the locker room and some sort of creative would change, and I just like was so upset. And Rhea had to, of all people, had to talk me off the ledge, because I was about to walk into talent relations and say, like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm so unhappy. And she kind of talked me off the ledge. But yeah, I was unhappy. So the release, I think, was a blessing in disguise. I was unhappy, and so many times I was so close to asking for my release, but I'd never pulled that trigger.
Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, this sounds a lot like what Ronnie was going through. He was very unhappy with what was going on, and sounds like he was like on the fence. Should I ask for my release or not? And then finally went, I'm going to ask and see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was on the fence for a good 6 months.
Right.
Which I guess was that too.
How long did you allow yourself to be sad about this?
About the release?
Yeah.
I didn't want to give it a time frame, but it's so strange. Like it was such a roller coaster of emotions. I was so sad at first. Like my heart was torn to pieces. Yeah. And then as the weeks went on, I was so excited for the future, and I was happy. And I knew every Monday or every Sunday night, I wasn't getting this feeling in my gut of just sadness. And so that was nice. And then not having like the pressure of how I look, because that plays a huge part in it as well. So it was nice for those feelings to disappear. But then there would come days where it would just hit me out of nowhere.
Mm. So, you talked a little bit about like how there's a green card issue here, and I can relate to that.
Yeah.
Are you hopeful that this will get cleared up soon?
I'm hopeful, but it's the government, and like with COVID, what I'm hearing is like there's a 3-year delay from COVID. So and they don't really give you a time frame of when this is going to be complete. This is just my like immigration attorney. She's like, "Well, I'm hoping you'll get it by so and so date," but I don't know.
Tell Ronnie to become an American citizen.
I know, right?
then you will then become an American citizen through that. Yeah, there we go. We figured this out for you. Yeah, this is, I get it. And I can completely empathize because I know what the green card process is like. Being a Canadian now living in the US, it is not an easy process and it is not a timely process at all.
Not at all. I mean, we're 4 years in at this point. I should have had it a long time ago, but hey, everything happens for a reason.
What are you excited about as we look forward? I mean, the second half of 2021 is here and we're living in it. What are you excited about?
I'm excited to get that damn green card and then I can chase my dreams. So I just feel like I'm in limbo right now. I can't, like, I'm doing everything I can to keep my name relevant. We've got the podcast, Off Her Chops. I'm like trying to do these photo shoots, somehow keep me relevant. But I'm just in this limbo where I'm just like sitting on my butt, unable to do anything. And that's just so not in my nature.
Well, I feel like if you keep posting these Instagram photo shoots, I mean, you're going to definitely keep a certain portion of the audience excited.
Hopefully.
There was one, I think you posted a very like great looking photo last week and people went, "Oh, Cassie has a new look."
Was it just like a selfie?
Yeah, but it was like you were very made up.
Oh, definitely. So that was like the morning of my last photo shoot and people are up in arms about pictures like that. And I'm like, you guys, I'm very well aware I don't look like this. Like, clearly I have a lot of makeup on. Clearly my hair is done. I've got a big bright light in my face to make me look the best as I can, Give me a break. Throw me a bone.
Also, how are you going to look like that after a 10-minute wrestling match?
You tell me.
You know so much more about this than me.
Oh gosh. I mean, it's not possible.
No. Are you still going to Flatbacks a lot?
I'm there every week. I've been there 3-4 times a week since they opened 2 years ago.
Yeah. And I think, when I made my visit there, my now infamous visit there, I was so impressed with what you did in the ring because at that time we weren't seeing a lot of you really showcasing your wrestling ability.
Yeah.
And that's why when you guys broke up, I personally went, "Oh my God, now the world is going to see what Cassie can do."
Thank you. I feel like I love training because we always teach the kids how important it is to have a personality and create this larger than life character. But I just love getting in there and just wrestling. And especially with Ronnie and Breeze, like they're both so good. And if I get in the ring with them, I just know I'm safe and B, I can go and not have to think for someone else. Like I can just go and we all know what's happening. So I just love getting down like that.
Ronnie has this very aggressive style in the ring that's also very safe, but it's this very aggressive style in the ring that I feel like has rubbed off on you, which is like makes you look like a really aggressive wrestler.
Oh, thank you. He is super aggressive and I love, like, if I can get in there, I take little bits from people that I'm in the ring with or that I watch, and I love his aggressiveness. I love how this person sells. I love how this person responds or reacts to certain things. And I take those inspirations and I've tried to that's how I tried to create Peyton. And a huge thing in WWE was aggression. That was, especially as the bad guy, the heel, whatever you want to call it, aggression is super important. So that was always at the top of my list.
As someone who was a huge fan of Eddie Guerrero growing up, what little piece do you take from Eddie?
Everything. There's not one thing I could take. He's, in my opinion, the greatest wrestler to ever do it. He could do everything. He wasn't, a great heel and a good baby face or the other way around. He could do everything. He was aggressive. He was funny. I can't.
I mean, we can spend the rest of the time talking about how great Eddie is.
Seriously, yes. So actually now that Chavo's with AEW, I'm like, oh my God, that is so cool. And Vicky's there too. Oh.
I feel like we just witnessed a little moment here.
Yeah, it makes me so happy. That watching stuff like that I feel like my love of wrestling again. That it excites me because for a long time wrestling was not exciting. But when I see things like that, it gets me excited.
What do you think it was? And you've mentioned this a few times now. What do you think it was that made you kind of lose that passion that you had for wrestling?
I mean, it was completely taken from me when we got let go. But just knowing that I felt like I had only scratched the surface with my goals, and that I felt like there was just this roadblock.
Mm.
And it was just like I couldn't get past the roadblock. That was hard to just kind of sit with, because nothing I did would like move, you know.
Yeah. Have you visited Ronnie at work?
Yeah, I have. I've been to a few shows with him.
Yeah, I feel like when this type of stuff happens, everyone goes, "Oh, Cassie Lee is backstage at AEW." Everyone.
Well, yeah, I went to their last pay-per-view, and someone in the audience took a picture of me. I'm like, well, what do you think? I'm here supporting my husband. I'm not here for business. Like, I'm not here to do, go into business for myself.
I don't know, but you, I mean, you can understand.
Oh, totally. I get it. And hey, talk about me. I'm good with it.
Oh, this is good. Well, you should, be going to all the shows then. I mean, well, they're on the road now, so it's not like it's just going up the, street to Jacksonville anymore.
Yeah. And I hate flying, so if I don't have to fly, I'm not going to fly.
Again, we talked about this last time, but I can't wrap my head around someone who hates flying. Half of your job is flying.
It was for the love of the business.
Is it just like an anxiety when you get on a plane?
It's hard to pinpoint. There came a time where driving to the airport, I would start feeling sick. And then as soon as I saw a plane on the tarmac, my stomach would just start turning, and I would just get like physically ill. And then I just hate it so much. I don't know exactly what it is. I don't like heights. So flying, that you can't have one without the other. And then like, if I can't see out of the plane, I get like physically ill again. And so it's just not a fun feeling.
So if they assign you an aisle seat, are you like frantically doing whatever you can to switch? Excuse me, ma'am. I am so sorry. I need the window seat.
People are either window seat people or they're aisle seat people. I'm okay with an aisle seat so long as the person at the window has the shade up, at least for takeoff and landing. So if that's the case and I cannot get a window seat, I will ask them, can you please just open it? Otherwise I'm going to be sick everywhere.
And they're probably like, yeah, okay, please.
Yes.
Don't puke on me.
Yep. I mean, that does the trick.
If wrestling was the first passion, is the first passion for you, is acting now like a very close second?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, definitely.
So now that you've been taking acting lessons for the last 2 years, are you studying and watching films differently?
Oh, definitely. And that's the way I kind of like when I started training for wrestling, I would watch wrestling differently. And I love just seeing like the behind the scenes and how movies are made. I really don't know a whole lot of the production side of things, but I just think it's so interesting. I love it.
It's a lot of standing around, I can tell you.
Well, Jess and I did a commercial for CarMax when we were tag champions. And not that there was a lot of standing around, but I was like, oh my gosh, we're being treated so lovely. Like as soon as they would yell cut, 2 people would run up behind us and put chairs, and then someone else would run up and put a shade over us. And I was like, this is so lovely.
Did you have stand-ins for this commercial too?
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Like people?
Yes.
No.
Yes. I mean, that's when you know that you're like a real star. When they have someone who's, similar height, right, similar build to you, and they'll put them in there to stand in for the lighting and the camera angles.
Yeah.
And then when it's time for the big star Cassie Lee to come in, we take the second team out.
Yeah, no, what a job though. That's for a stand-in.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they get paid well, so it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite director?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
I'll give you like 5 and you can choose from there.
But here's the thing, right? You might say a director and I really don't know what movie that.
Well, I'm sure you know who Steven Spielberg is.
Well, tell me a movie and I'll know.
He did E.T., Jaws, Jurassic Park.
Okay.
He's a very well-known director.
Whoever directs all the rom-coms, so I like those.
Is that the type of movie you want to be in?
Oh my gosh, that's my dream, to be the lead in a rom-com.
Oh wow. Well, Why? I mean, if you had your dream to be in the WWE and you did everything you could to make that happen, why are we to believe that you can't make this happen with movies?
I mean, I don't think that's the case. I believe it.
Then that seems to be all that matters here.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that goes for anything. If you believe it for yourself, you're good.
Are you reading, like, I feel like this is like that whole idea of like The Secret, the book, The Secret?
No.
Oh, The Law of Attraction?
Oh yeah, definitely. I agree. I think the universe gives you what you want. So long as you put it out to the universe, you'll get it back.
Well, we're putting it out of the universe together.
Thank
You're
you.
getting a green card.
Yes. First things first.
Well, that's inevitable. That's inevitable. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of, is it going to happen today, tomorrow, or next week, or next month?
Yep, that is right.
Again, so if somebody's watching this and they're, they work for the, whatever that is, immigration, maybe they can speed this process up a little bit. I don't know.
Please, we'll put that out into the universe.
Yes. If someone's working for the immigration, people, yes, let's make that happen. Then once that happens, then the world's your oyster.
Yes. I love that. I love that you just said that.
I mean, but it's true. But look, I think it would be so hard to not be impressed with everything that you've done in your career, because you've built everything in your career all on your own.
Yeah. I do feel like that. Like, just so much time and effort was put into like where I am now. And I just like, that's not stopping. It's just going in a different direction.
Yeah. But the end goal is still going to be the same. So maybe it's not a straight path. Maybe it weaves a little bit,
Yep.
but it still ends up at the same place.
Yep. Yep.
What do you think was the best advice that you were giving, whether in wrestling or outside of wrestling, but what's the best advice you've received in your career?
The one that stands out is just being a good person. I feel like that, just being a good person, being, professional, it just gets you so much further than being a shit person, And like, you can be a shit person and still get like opportunities, but I can't imagine it would feel as good as if you did things on your own terms and you were the person, you stuck to your morals, you're the person that you want to be and you see for yourself. I think everything's just so much more worth it.
Is that the advice that you would give to someone who wants to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. I mean, people don't want to help rude people. I'm not going to go out of my way for someone who doesn't have manners, but someone who is kind and nice, 100%.
That's not just, that's not just in the business world either.
That's in life.
Yeah. Like if you're in line to buy something, they want to help the nice person.
Yeah. And if you're a jerk, calling customer service, you're going to be on hold for a minute. But if you allow a person to do their job and you have some patience, you'll probably get done quicker.
How many of your podcast episodes do you have planned out from here on out? Or are you guys just kind of winging it?
Yeah, we kind of wing it. We film 2 at a time just because we've got producer Snoogs who has his own life and his own job. So in order to have his help, we need to like schedule things differently. So we've always got 2 episodes planned. And then we kind of wait to see like what happens in the world, what happens in life that we, can bring to the next 2 episodes.
And I feel like they keep building on themselves. This is the great thing about podcasting. And congratulations, by the way, on doing it. Because I always say the best thing about a podcast is anyone can do it.
Yeah.
And the worst thing about a podcast is anyone can do it. And the biggest thing that you need to do is separate yourself from everybody who thinks that they can do it. And I think, I can't remember the exact number, but I think the stat is like most people give up after 7. So the fact that you are now knocking on the door of double digits, you're going to have 10 podcasts with your next one that you put out.
Yep.
You've already beat the odds.
I didn't know that. I love that. Go us.
But think about it. And I get it. Like, and you know what it's like. It's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of work. It's not just like turn on a mic and talk. It's a lot of work.
It's way more than I honestly expected.
And I think that a lot of people put all this time and effort into it and they go, oh man, we've put out 7 episodes. We haven't got the results that we want. Well, I guess it's just not for me.
Yeah, I mean, what's that saying where it's like you don't perfect something until you've put in like 10,000 hours or something?
Yeah.
We're not even close to that. So we're going to keep going.
That's Malcolm Gladwell's idea of like mastering something after 10,000 hours. That means 10,000 episodes, which I don't know if anyone's ever done that.
Yeah, that's true. But we inch closer with every episode.
I'm sure you've done 10,000 hours of wrestling training.
Yeah, I would assume so.
That means you're a master of wrestling now.
I am a master wrestler. Pop that in my bio.
Done. Make this happen. What are the goals as we look towards the end of this year? And then what are the goals if we look ahead, like let's say 5?
Wow. I mean, assuming that the old green card's going to come in.
That's not an assumption. It's happening.
Okay. Like in wrestling, I still would love to capture a championship, a women's championship. I still see myself on a grand stage. It doesn't have to be the grand stage. I mean, I love working together. So we're really excited to get back to that. It's so easy and it's so fun. And then outside of wrestling, like my biggest thing is chasing acting. So that's where everything is. I hope in 5 years that I have a family. I hope in 5 years I'm able to get home to Australia to see my other family, my family at home. But yeah, I think everything is working towards this new career goal that I have.
Which is being a rom-com star.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to being in like a Denzel film either.
Oh my God. How good is he, right?
I just yesterday watched The Equalizer. I had never seen it. And I was like, mind blowing. He's so good. Come on.
Best. You want to talk about subtleties. Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
His performances are just filled with these little things. Mm-hmm.
And it's in every one of his films. He just nails it.
Is he your favorite actor?
I would say him and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh my God.
Ronnie and I were talking about this recently, like who is one actor that you would say is the greatest actor of all time? And we both said Leonardo DiCaprio. Because he's taken on so many different roles, and I believe him in every role he takes on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he's yeah.
What do you think? This might be hard, but what do you think is his best performance?
Oh gosh. I don't know. One of my favorites is Wolf of Wall Street. Yeah.
I think the argument could be made that he should have won the Oscar for Wolf of Wall Street and then ended up winning the Oscar for The Revenant. It's kind of going, yeah, like you're really good. We get it.
He should have won Oscars for basically all of his performances. Like every time it like was taken from him, I was like, man, he's earned it. Come on.
Yeah. Who's your favorite actress?
Sandra Bullock.
Oh my gosh.
I love her. She's so good.
So Sandra Bullock is like your Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, she is. Yeah.
Well, and you've accomplished everything in the wrestling world. So now it's time to, follow in her footsteps in the acting world.
Yeah. And I have someone's footsteps to follow, just like Eddie's.
This is, yeah. I am very, very excited for you.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm excited for you and Ronnie together as one of my favorite wrestling couples.
Oh, you're so kind.
It's true. And I'm very thankful for the opportunity to catch up with you and like just to hear how you're doing.
Yeah, I always love speaking with you. So literally anytime.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll do this every week then.
I'm keen. I was thinking before we started, I was like, what's he going to ask me? Like, I haven't, like, my career's been like stagnant. What's he going to ask me? But this has been actually therapeutic for me. So thank you.
Oh, wow. Well, look, I end every conversation with the same question because I start and end every day with gratitude. I say out loud 3 things that I'm grateful for.
Love it.
So I end every interview with that. So what are 3 things that you're grateful for?
I'm curious what I said last time, but every day, same thing. I am forever grateful for health, safety, and happiness of everyone that I love and care about.
I love that. That's so great. Thank you so much for this awesome time.
Thank you for having me. I always love doing this with you.
You're the best.
You're the best.